Hello, everyone, and welcome to week one takeaways. So, of course, we're going to be talking about our takeaways from week one. Quite obvious. So, first off, let's go to the Giants game. I am sure you guys want to hear about how I picked the Giants and we ended up losing anyway. By the way, yeah, it's the next day. Um, so, how did we lose exactly? Well, Daniel Jones didn't have a bad game except for that fumble. Vicangio kept going for it on fourth, and our fourth down defense was just bad, and they converted a lot of thirds on us. Melvin Gordon had an okay game until that big 70-yard rush. Sterling Shepard had an amazing game, of course. And so really, our main takeaways: the secondary is still pretty good as Bridgewater didn't do much throwing, but he did get some rushing, and Melvin Gordon, of course. But Melvin Gordon scored late in the game anyway. So really, the game was over at when it was 20-10, not 27-13. But yeah, if only our fourth down defense was better, we could have easily won because Fangio kept going for it on fourth for some reason. But it ended up working out, obviously, because I got the win. But yeah, let's go to the Thursday game. We'll have our takeaway. Oh yeah, also I want to talk about Saquon. He still injured, still the line's bad. I mean, I don't want to make too much excuses for him, but if he really can't put something together, he is gonna be a bust. As terms of he's not that he's a bad player, but because he's would not be worth the second pick. His rookie year was great, but he has not done much. Well, he had a good year 2019, but he was also injured for a bit of it. Last year he was injured, and this year he better play good week too. But yeah, so Cowboys Buccaneers, everyone's done enough on what they think of that game, and yeah, so we're just gonna skip it. So we're just doing the Sundays today. So Eagles Falcons. The Eagles won, which is a bit surprising, but they also won against a very bad team. I don't think that the Eagles beating the Falcons makes them legit or very good in any sense of the way. And the Falcons are not a good team, so it's not an impressive win. But with the win, we saw Hurts with a nice game, Devonta Smith with a nice game, Miles Sanders played okay. Had an all-around nice game. The defense performed well, and then the Falcons, like, they did nothing. Kyle Pitts couldn't get going too well. Calvin Ridley didn't get going too well. They didn't even score a touchdown. 32-6 being the score of that game. And can the Eagles win the NFC East with how bad it is? Yes. Do I think they will? Nah. With the win over the Falcons, they'll max out at 6-11, I believe. And the Giants, with them losing week one, had them going 9-8 now. That's pretty unlikely with how we played, but it can still happen. And I wouldn't be shocked if we went 7-10, to be honest. But yeah, this is bad L, but we can bounce back next week. And the Eagles, yeah, good W, but next week, who do they verse next week? That's a good question. They verse the 49ers, so yeah, should be interesting. Steelers at Bills. See, really, the Najee Harris, bad game. Josh Allen was good first half, second half, he didn't do much. And he could have done much more if people are saying that he's this MVP candidate, which I was supposed to release my award predictions. I never did. I was also supposed to release my power rankings, but I'll show a screenshot in next week's video on the power rankings. You'll be able to see the movers and stuff. And yeah, a lot of people going up, a lot of people going down in those power rankings. Steelers going to be one of the ones going up, and Bills going down. Steelers, great team. From what we've seen, great play. Uh, like that fourth quarter was just quite insane. While the Bills, they were up 10-0 at half. Steelers put on a nice second quarter, so it's 10-6, but put on a nice third quarter. But the fourth quarter, they killed it. Josh Allen didn't do much. But yeah, Steelers, scored with a block punt for a touchdown. Some unlucky things, some special team touchdown really got them to win there. Their defense allowing the Bills only 16 points. Najee Harris does not seem as good as we thought, but he also has a poor O-line. And yeah, we don't know what's going to go on there. It's just week one, so I don't overreact. But takeaways are that the Steelers can be legit. And they are currently tied for first in the division. With this team, Vikings at Bengals. Bengals take a win away. Let's be honest, the Vikings should have won this game. Not only because they're a better team, but there were some bad calls in this game. It's very unfortunate because Kirk had a good game. Thielen had a good game. Justin Jefferson had an okay game, I believe. I don't know. I knew that Thielen did very well, and so did Cousins. Justin Jefferson, he had an okay game. Osborne had a good game. Cook, of course, doing Dalvin Cook doing Dalvin Cook things. He had a nice game. Yeah, so what you expected from the Vikings, their defense wasn't as good as they could be. Really, the Bengals got bailed out by calls, but the Vikings should have been beating this team by more. You expect more of this team, and yeah, I think that's fair. Jamar Chase had a really good week one performance. Joe Burrow coming back had a nice performance. Joe Mixon had a great game too. It was a good game for the Bengals, and not too great for the Vikings, although I feel like they definitely should have won. And then 49ers at Lions. Trey Lance came in. He threw a touchdown. That's nice. 49ers, really good game, except for that we just don't include that fourth quarter, then yeah. That second quarter was filled with tons of scores, though, as the second quarter box scores finished 24-10, which is pretty much as it's higher. It's as much as the Jets and Panthers scored in total. So yeah, it's a bit more than the Dolphins and Patriots. So yeah, but the Lions almost came back. It would have been crazy if they did, but 49ers win that game as they're supposed to. And yeah, Deebo Samuel, a great game. I versed Deebo Samuel, but I also had Amari Cooper this week. But my team, I thought I drafted really well, but Rodgers, terrible game. Adams, had not a good game for Adams standards. Then I had Cooper and Thielen. So you think I would win, but then my running backs are, James Robinson, who had a bad game. And then, what's his name? Saquon Barkley. He had a bad game as well. So, really disappointing with my fantasy team, but we're not going to talk about that. Anyway, 49ers had a nice game. Hopefully Trey Lance gets in sooner rather than later, but Jimmy G didn't have too bad of a game, so maybe he'll stay in for a bit extra. And here, it's not the upset of the week, per se, but this is a game that I expected to be one of the best games. Upset of the week would probably be Steelers over Bills, or Bengals over Vikings, or Texans over Jaguars, or Saints over Packers. Yep, there was a lot of upsets. But this one, I think that the Cardinals had the best or second best week one performance depends if you think them or the Saints' performances was better. But they really killed it. Kyler Murray doing Kyler Murray things, throwing for almost 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. And he also rushed for one because he's Kyler Murray. Chase Edmonds had a decent game with the rushing. DeAndre Hopkins killed it. 83, 6 receptions, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's great. Yeah, so the Cardinals did what not a lot of people expected them to, and maybe they will win this division. But this division, everyone is 1-0, and every team had a good performance. 49ers had the worst performance, but they were up 41-17 at a point, I believe. So, really, they just started resting their players, and the Lions kind of came back. But yeah, all these teams look great. The NFC West is going to be the most competitive. This year's NFC West might be the most competitive division of all time, and I would not be surprised if it is. Titans, what a disappointing game. They really didn't. They didn't do much. They were down 10-0. Second quarter, they tried to bounce back. They really didn't. Third quarter, it was just over at that point. So Titans lose this game, and what is it with the Titans? They have to win these games. I expected them to win this game. They're at home. Home opener. Their defense isn't as good as the Cardinals. Definitely not as good. But their offense is supposed to be better. Derrick Henry didn't do much. The Cardinals defense did amazing at stopping Derrick Henry. They did good at stopping A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. How are you stopping that? It's insane. But yeah, amazing game from the Cardinals. I think all 4 NFC West teams might make it. Because I had the Vikings over the Cardinals, but that's not going to well. I had them as the same record. I don't know if that's going to age well or not, but yeah. Seahawks at Colts. Yeah, I'd pick the Seahawks. This game wasn't too surprising. Just some takeaways. Russell Wilson is fine. Sorry about that. Trying to get an MVP, at least one of a vote. How does he not have an MVP vote? He is. Hey, Russell Wilson plays good. At the beginning of the season, their defense was pretty good. The Colts just didn't have too great of a performance, and the Seahawks had a much better game. This one wasn't surprising, but some takeaways. Carson Wentz isn't bad. He didn't throw any interceptions. He had a decent game. Jonathan Taylor could have done much more. Hines could have done more. And Marlon Mack didn't even get any carries. Hines and Taylor did good receiving. Really, that was their whole offense there, except for Zach Prescott's 2 touchdowns. And, of course, they had a decent game. Carson Wentz, fumbled, which is unfortunate. But yeah, that was really it. It was a game that most people wouldn't be too surprised that the Seahawks won. And Russ for MVP, he's not the leader. I would say the MVP right now, if it were to end, would be Cardinals. Would be Kyler Murray or Matthew Stafford because they both had amazing games. Probably Murray, though. But yeah, those are the 2 best quarterback performances. Of course, Mahomes had a great performance. But yeah. So, Jets at Panthers, nothing surprising here. Low scoring game, 19-14. McCaffrey didn't even get 100 yards. Good game by Corey Davis. 2 touchdowns. Zach Wilson, I was kind of impressed. He had a good week 1 performance. I think this guy deserved to be the second pick. He had a legit game playing against a pretty good defense. And if Zach Wilson keeps that up, he'll be able to. He'll show that maybe he's better than Sam Darnold. But Sam Darnold did outperform him in this game. But he also has more help. But Corey Davis, he's definitely going to be good. And yeah. So, Jaguars 21-37 lost to the Texans. To the Texans. The 0-17 team turns out to win. Maybe they'll go 17-0. Of course, I'm just joking, but Trevor Lawrence had a good game. It wasn't him. Brandon Cooks also had a good game. And Marvin Jones. On the Jaguar side, I know that Marvin Jones played like a nice receiver there. He played pretty damn well, which is, he played like Marvin Jones. DJ Chark, of course, getting involved, had a really good game as well. Chenault had a decent game, could have done a bit more. James Robinson, as I already mentioned, did not have a good game. At least he did a bit receiving, but not too much. And yeah, sadly, that is an L for the Jaguars that they should have now lost. Texans coming away with the W, first in the division, but to be fair, the Colts played the Colts and Titans played much better teams, and Colts right now look like they might be the favorites for the division with how they played, but I don't think they will win it. I think the Titans still will. It's just week 1, so who knows what will happen. So yeah, Browns played very well. Was very impressed with their first half, but a bit of a choke in this. Not a bit of a choke in the second half, which, come on, when you're up 22-10 against the Chiefs, you need to run the ball, which Nick Chubb did very well. But nothing's like Mahomes and Hill and also Kelsey. Hill, of course, almost 200 yards, a touchdown, over 10 receptions. If he got 200 yards, it would have been insane. Not as great as a game he had last year where he had like those 200 yards and 4 touchdowns in like the first half against the Buccaneers, something like that. Browns played good. Baker had a good game except for that game-ending pick. And Chiefs proved that they still should be the Super Bowl favorites after every single great team. But you know that I picked the Rams to win the Super Bowl. Anyway, Dolphins over Patriots 17-16. Mac Jones had a pretty good performance. I think Tua did too. I'm not quite sure. This wasn't my main priority. This game, of course, the Yankees lost. Because why wouldn't they? Just to make me happy. Okay. Tua, he threw a pick. He realized he didn't have too great of a game. Mac Jones definitely outperformed him. And it was really... Waddle had a touchdown, which is good. Obviously, the Jamar Chase had the best out of the 3 top receivers, and Devontae Smith had a good game, and then Xavier Howard with the pick. Yeah, the Dolphins scored 2 touchdowns. Was one of them like on defense or something? Tua ran for a touchdown. Okay, that makes sense. And he threw for 1. Okay. I'm sorry, I was a bit confused. I didn't watch this game because the Giants game was on, and probably would have rather watched the Patriots lose than watch the Giants lose for sure. But yeah. Packers at Saints. Yeah, Jameis Winston throwing for 5 touchdowns, only 148 yards, but 5 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara, of course, with his 83 yards. Amazing player, someone that I drafted in my fantasy league. One of my fantasy leagues, because of course, why wouldn't I? Kamara, of course, getting touchdown through the air. Jameis Winston only threw like short touchdowns. Tony Jones had a nice rushing. Jameis Winston actually rushed for a bit. Packers defense was just not that good, and Aaron Rodgers played horrible. When do you see Aaron Rodgers throw for 133 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions? I haven't seen him play this bad. I don't even know. This might be Aaron Rodgers' worst game ever, unless I'm forgetting one. He does not throw interceptions often, and 133 yards, no touchdowns. Jordan Love did get in 68 yards and zero everything else, better than Rodgers, but Saints defense is still insane. Randall Cobb, he had one catch. Yeah, really the Packers receivers. Adams is just he's the only one that does most of the things, and he couldn't get open much. And then Bears at Rams. It just shows that the Rams are not as overhyped as a lot of people think that they are or were. And yeah, Rams are still my Super Bowl pick. Obviously, when it changes, especially with the game that they played, but the Chiefs and Rams would be interesting. Bucks too. Packers, they could realistically still make it, but ouch. Anyways, see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.